that I got an opportunity today to stand here in front of all of you who have really contributed a lot to our Goan society. And more so because I could make some type of a contribution with the help of our Mrs. Libia to try and protect certain things which are priceless. They are really priceless. And more so, my sincere thanks to the Director of Art and Culture, the Deputy Director, and the Curator, the Librarian, and the staff of Central Library, because they have really gone out of their way to do certain things which are very good. I'm not going to take much time because they have told me not more than 5 minutes, otherwise we'll put the mic off. What has been done, I'll just explain to you. Something very, very nice. What was started a long time back, because I'm not going to give you dates and all that, because that would be the privilege of Libia to tell you. But something that was started a very long time back with energy that is superhuman, I can say. And in one of the conversations, she did mention to me, and I take the liberty to tell you this, that they have literally given blood for this freedom struggle. And do you know why she said that? Because every time in the monsoons, whenever they went to give this, to read out these things from the transmitter in the jungles, they were all infested with leeches. And at night they would come removing them. So in the literal sense, they give blood for this. But that is not how. She preserved each and every page of that script, which started in 1955 and ended in 1961. And she has very, very kindly handed it over to the Central Library today. But in the meantime, in the last 1.5 years, we have scanned each and every page of this. And that is made available to all the academicians and historians as a first source, the main source of what happened actually during those particular 7 years that happened. What I'm going to tell you now is not only about the liberation, something about losing liberation also. On 19th of December 1964, she tied the life's knot with Padmashri Vaman Sardesai in Panjim. That is, after liberation, we all say in a lighter moment, we lose our liberation on that particular day. Well, just to inform you, only 4 people were there, possibly 1 or 2 more persons. Her brother, Father Pascal Lobo, the brother-in-law, Joe Lobo, and 2 witnesses, Bakiba Borthar and Narayan Desai. You know, that's wonderful to hear, just to hear how historic this moment also was. Padmashri Vaman Sardesai was presented this award of Padmashri on the 6th of April 1992. And prior to that, he was the ambassador of Angola between 1998 to 1992, where he had the opportunity of meeting a lot of leaders from Africa, the nations there, and one name that I would like to mention here is even Bishop Tutu. There is one aspect of this entire story from the start till the 19th that normally people don't talk about, and that is about Libia being the first lady, civilian lady. I mean, the other people had already flown here on the 18th and gone, but the first civilian lady who flew over free liberated Goa early morning in a plane with speakers below, traveling from border to border, and she's not telling me for very secret reasons, I don't know where they went all around the place. But what she mentions over here is at 11 o'clock they were ordered to come and fly, circle over the secretariat, because that is the time that the official flying of the tricolor took place on the flag post over there. And the plane did not go back to Belgaum. This is something very surprising to me and maybe surprising to you too. This plane landed at Kampal. And she tells me, says, see, the Kampal of that time was not the Kampal of today. So they could land over there, and after a short while, they returned back. And one of the reasons why she flew was a day earlier for a dinner. So when the news came that Goa had been freed and the Portuguese had surrendered, General Chaudhary, who was the chief of the army staff, he came in when they were having the dinner, and he used to call Libia Bai as Kumari Lobo. So he says, Kumari Lobo, what would you like to do? What is your wish to do? The first thing when you go into Libya. So as she tells me in her very exuberant way, she put out her hands there and she said, I want to fly over this Goa and see what. And he smiled. They went home. Early morning the next day there was a jeep that came asking them to accompany and come to the airport. And when they landed at the airport, the timings I may not be able to tell you correctly, around 7 o'clock let's say, they landed up over there and they were told that here you are, go and fly over your field. And there was this plane with speakers on its belly, and they said that you please go and tell the people that they are liberated. So the question was, just talking would not do. They printed, within that short time, they printed pamphlets. Now, unfortunately, I do not find anything. So if anybody has got a pamphlet with you all, please do share it with us. We would like to scan it and keep it also. But from what she has told, I made a small pamphlet. And the words that were there on that, which they threw from the plane, were rejoice, rejoice, brothers and sisters. Goa is at last free from the colonial yoke and united with the motherland after 450 years. Our brothers in the Indian Army are there to protect and serve you. This was just to build a little confidence in the people that the army is not going to do any damage. They have come here to free you. And then they went back to the place, and another incident that she mentions to me, said she had many more, but she recollects only two. One of Mr. Ducle, Dr. Ducle, and one of Mr. Moy, who one day accosted her in Panjim and in Miramar, and she did not know them. And you can make out a person when he's trying to have a conversation with you, but he's hesitating. So she asked, so you wanted to ask something, what can I? So he says, yeah, both of them at different times. They said that you told me about my passing in the SSC exam in Pune. At that time there were no newspapers over here. So she has got that pride of telling the people that you passed. And then she tells me that she read out the name, the school, and the marks on that. What a pleasure it must have been, with so much of thread around, to know that your effort of going into Pune and coming back was a success. Earlier, I remember when you got just passing marks in SSC, they used to light firecrackers outside. Now, if you get 99, they ask you, why did you study more to get that 100%? So, we have a professor here also will say that. But the last part of what I'm going to tell you in this particular thing is their relays, what they relayed. It was a half an hour slot, Konkani and then Portuguese, between 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the morning, and then evening 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That timing, possibly she also is not very sure, it may be 8 to 9 also, but that is not the issue. But it was one slot in the morning, one in the evening. The Konkani slot which she read out, and you, as you hear her, you will understand what power she has not lost even 1 decibel of that power from then to now. What she read was classified, I would use the word classified or identified as Goenche Awaz. And what Vaman read was the Liberdade, or voice of liberation, or voice of liberty. If I keep on telling you more things, I mean, I'm going to take out the air out of what she is going to say, because she's got a lot of things to tell you. But I'm really, really grateful to her for agreeing to hang these original pages, each and every page. You'll be able to see it in the exhibition after this thing. You'll be able to see them. You'll see the number of files over there. And I leave those other things that are there to her to tell you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think what we need to do right now is give her a big applause, because she kept this document for this foundation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have just witnessed a ceremony that I could not have even dreamt of. These manuscripts were lying with me for the last almost 67 years. They were just occupying space, and without any reason. One look at them would convey that they are fit only for passing on to the Radiwala or the Chanawala to make cones for them to sell their gram. But I could not, even in my dreams, agree to do this. Therefore, I am intensely satisfied and happy that they have now reached their proper destination. And this joy is gratefully intensified by the presence of all of you. I am thankful. I will mention the people that I can see. Judge Brito, Mrs. Capri, former Accountant General, Mr. Prajas Sakarande, the historian, Mr. Vivek Menevis, the writer, Mr. Nigel Brito, Mr. Sanjeev Sardesai, and the director of the Art and Culture of the Central Library. And I am also thankful to all of you for giving your support, all of the staff for giving your support. All the literary scholars that are there, historians, writers, architects, and I expected my Buddhist colleagues to be here, but I don't know whether they are here because I cannot see whether they are here. Anyway. I also thank all the press people and the cameramen who have made it a point to come here. And particularly, last but not the least, I must thank and mention Mr. Sanjeev Sardesai, who has been instrumental. He's a camera, he's a shooter without bullets. That's what I call him. He's a shooter without bullets. He has been instrumental right from the beginning to work this out. And I'm also grateful to the director of staff of Goa Central Library, particularly Mrs. Marianata and Mr. Gurudas, who dedicatedly and carefully, painstakingly organized and oversaw the process and the result as we see today. I thank you all. Now, as I said, if you want to hear something about the voice of freedom, you will have to bear with me. The voice of freedom, am I audible?
Yes.
The underground radio station run by the nationalists during the freedom struggle started its broadcast on the 25th of November, as Mr. Sardesai has told you, 1955, and stopped gloriously on the 19th December 1961. The last broadcast announcing Goa's freedom was actually made from the skies above. Both these dates are historic. 25th November was the day when Goa was subjugated by Vasco da Gama in 1510. And 19th December 1961, as we all know, Goa was finally liberated from the colonial yoke. We chose the 25th November because the Portuguese always celebrated it with as much pomp and splendor as they could as their conquest of Goa. So we wanted on that day to start our tirade against them. The radio was not just one of those things that happened, as a matter of course. In fact, it was the only peaceful alternative that was left to the Goans. In 1954, when the Goan Satyagrahis living outside Goa crossed peacefully into Goa to demand the end of colonial rule, the Portuguese brutally attacked our patriots, killing so many, injuring and chasing away others with pointed guns. Many were taken prisoners. To put sense in the Portuguese regime, the government of India declared India's borders with Goa closed and also imposed an economic blockade, which meant preventing all free movement, traffic and trade between the two territories. All existing sea, road and rail links were snapped. The Indian dock workers boycotted all ships touching Goa. From then on, therefore, any communication could only be clandestine and with the greatest risk. Instead of seeing reason, the Portuguese government displayed an arrogant attitude, increased their repression on the people, and made their life even more unbearable by house searches, raids, interrogations, arrests, and physical brutalities on mere suspicion, strict vigilance, and endless harassment. Their aim was to crush the nationalist movement and the aspirations of the people for freedom. The challenge had to be met. Under the aegis of the Goa Vimochana Samiti, another All India Satyagraha was started on the 15th August 1955 to support the Goan people and give a final warning to the Portuguese to quit Goa. This also met with even worse brutalities on the patriots who were only marching peacefully. They fired point blank at them, mowed down scores of them, dragged their bullet-ridden bodies and flung them like cattle across the border. Many were jailed. World opinion and the right-thinking people everywhere were shocked at such atrocities. To avoid further loss of lives, the Indian government ordered the Satyagraha to be immediately suspended. All of us were going to offer Satyagraha, to enlist our names for the Satyagraha had to go back to Sapani. At the same time, it warned the Portuguese that such atrocities would not be tolerated and it will leave no stone unturned to liberate Goa. In Goa, total censorship was enforced. Not even an invitation card or a calendar could be printed or circulated without it carrying and displaying the seal of the censor. No civil liberties whatsoever, while people were kept totally in the dark. And no outside news, papers or printed matter could come in. The official radio emissora, the Goa, and a couple of local newspapers were feeding the people only with lies and false propaganda, though the liberation movement was steadily growing and gaining support both inside and outside. It became imperative to expose these lies of the Portuguese and raise the morale of the people by informing them of the reality. The answer came in the form of an underground radio station. Located in the forests of Goa border, so close that they said it was only 1 mile across as the crow flies. We called it Voz de Liberdade in Portuguese and Goenche Awaz in Konkani, which means Goa's deliverance. Translated in English, this voice of freedom. At first, it was manned by 3 persons. Mr. Menezes, who was in exile in Bombay, Mumbai at present, Mr. Vaman Sardesai, who had just returned from Gandhiji's ashram at Sevagram to offer Satyagraha, and myself. Being advanced in age and unable to stand the rigors of an underground life in a forest, incommunicado, incognito, Mr. Menezes soon dropped out. In order not to have these dropouts time and again, we decided that we would carry on by ourselves. We broadcast regular programs for 1 hour twice a day at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. in Konkani and Portuguese, half an hour each. If required, in English and Marathi also, depending upon the matter that we wanted to broadcast. Our task was fourfold: to sustain the morale of the people by giving them the correct information on the progress of the movement. Second, to demoralize the Portuguese troops and officials by exposing their lies and atrocities. Third, to counter their lies against India and its progress after freedom. And fourth, to show that ours was not a solitary struggle, but one with all other anti-colonial struggles in Asia and Africa, which were progressing with staunch determination and support of one another. To this end, all dates of national importance were observed. Every meeting, incident, supportive statement coming from any corner of the world and condemning Portugal particularly was reported. Statements of the leaders of the Indian Parliament, even supportive articles appearing in foreign newspapers against colonialism were broadcast verbatim. This sometimes in English as we reply. Happenings that closely affected us, like the proceedings of the Hague Tribunal, the defense of the Indian Attorney General, Mr. M.C. Satalwar, and also the marathon speech of the then Defense Minister, Shri V.K. Krishna Menon, were all broadcast verbatim for the people to understand the truth. When the decision on the International Court of Justice in the Nagar Haveli case was announced, the Portuguese informed the people through their channels that they had won the case, and they celebrated it with pomp and joy. But when the truth was the contrary and was then exposed by us to our radio, almost every household avidly listened to the broadcast. This feedback animated us to intensify our fight and work without succumbing to the hazards of the situation. In the end, we could say that the voice of freedom and its purpose was a powerful weapon for the Portuguese to reckon with, and our efforts did not at all go in vain. The army commandant in Goa, Major Philip de Barros Rodrigues, reported to his superiors and the government in Portugal in these terms: the voice of freedom has assumed the command of the entire propaganda, maintained its aggressiveness and militancy. It works with the most diverse material, threatens, criticizes, explains, changes colors, alters perspectives, but in everything it does, it carries a sharp stiletto. It is free from the occupation of any attack from outside. It has been, in fact, the only voice that has been continually hurting us at very close range. I think we could not ask for more. We were happy that our purpose was fulfilled and even acknowledged by our main target, and that we also won our freedom after 450 years. Last but not the least, I am happy that during the final days, the ultimatum given by the Honorable Defense Minister to the Governor General of Goa to surrender and leave Goa as their time is up was also communicated by us through the Voice of Freedom, and the Governor was asked to convey this decision also on our wavelength, which of course did not come, and the Indian Army marched into Goa with Operation Vijay. Thank you.